Welcome back. Political campaigns ahead of Nigeria's 2023 elections officially began yesterday. The election will determine the successor for President Muhammadu Buhari, whose administration has been described in different ways. Many young people are gearing up for that election that may be influenced by the country's economic downturn and security challenges. We have more on the story in this report.
Guidelines issued by Nigeria's electoral body provides that campaign for the presidential election should officially begin 5 months to the poll, holding in February next year. Before now, political parties, their candidates and supporters have been consulted and engaging in minor mobilization. But with the commencement of actual campaign, electorates are now prepared to hear from those who seek their votes on how they intend to address the myriad of problems confronting the country. From worsening insecurity to steady devaluation of the country's currency, the naira, prolonged closure of Nigeria's universities due to strike by lecturers, and increasing loss of jobs owing to the shutting down of industries that can no longer deal with the harsh economic realities. The list is endless.
Campaign in Nigeria and it started today, and I'm a first-time voter. I would love to see the candidates speak so I can choose the right person to vote for. In this 2023 election, we must vote right. We must vote right and we must vote wisely.
And this time around, I don't just want to sit back and say whatever they bring for me is okay by me. I want to take out that bold step by myself. Let me see if my vote will count or not. That is the more reason why I've made up my mind that this year I must step out, get my voter's card, and I must vote.
We are set and ready to vote for who will change our lives. We are not going to be going around the same circle every time. All the old stories, all the things that have been told us, all the lies that have been told us in campaign now, there are not going to be lies anymore. What we are going to be hearing now is facts and truth. What are you going to do? What are you going to present? What are you going to give to the people? That is what we want to see. We are tired of all these years in darkness and suffering.
Increased participation of the youth population and the introduction of electorates on the day of election and recording of election results suggests that the 2023 election in Nigeria may be a clear departure from the past when many say actual votes never counted. Attention is now on the candidates and their parties to see how they will utilize this campaign window in reaching those who hold the power to decide their fate. The people. Israel Iferobo, News Central Television.
Thank you very much, Israel, for that very interesting report. And the conversation continues. After 2 terms, Buhari steps down with Nigeria battling high inflation, oil production at record lows, and security forces still battling jihadists, separatist gunmen, bandits, and, of course, criminal gangs across the country. Before now, it was a case of PDP and APC as the 2 major parties. But with the emergence of a third force, the Labour Party, it means that it is no longer business as usual.
Joining us now to discuss the preparations of the various parties is Ahmed Ngene. He's a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Ahmed. Good to have you.
Yeah. Good morning. And good morning. It's my pleasure to join you live on this breakfast show.
All right. Ahmed, the campaigns have officially started. I mean, they started yesterday, but it seems that some of the parties are yet to start, with the PDP just announcing their presidential committee yesterday. What are your thoughts and expectations coming from the various parties?
Oh, well, I guess the past 4 months has been a very, it's been, the past 4 months has been quite an interesting preparatory stage for the major parties and the candidates who are aspiring from the various platforms. While we as supporters of Peter Obi has been, on the field since the past 3 months, actively trying to mobilize across the grassroots and the media, and like a lot of critics will always that it is 4 people tweeting from a room and all of that, and we can see what it has transpired to, across, all breadths and, and all breadths and across all tribes and regions in the country, as we can see. For the PDP, we can see that they did a flag up in Abuja yesterday. We also saw that on TV. And for the APC, which for some reasons best known to them, has moved or, suspended their flag up from yesterday indefinitely. Now, for the Labour Party, our principal, who also did his campaign yesterday in Jos, we all can see what, the actions that, that came out of all, should I say, the flag ups yesterday, which was at least, we saw the PDP flag up and then the Labour Party flag up in Jos. We all can see as Nigerians, the candidate, who, stands for the people from all indications yesterday. We can see the candidate whom the people, have rightly chosen to lead them, in the next dispensation. And we can see what seems more of an organized businessman political gathering. And let us also remember that the Labour Party flag up yesterday in Jos had most Nigerians, besides 7 senators or 7 ministers or 7 governors or anything. So you can say that our candidate, which is Mr. Peter Obi, represents what we call the servant leader.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the Labour Party's candidate. Well, maybe not expected, a couple of months ago, but so far his candidacy has shaken up the system, and surely, they seem to be gaining momentum. I remember also a few days ago, one of the representatives of the PDP, Dino Melayu, had argued that the party is renting crowds for their rallies and so on. What's your response to that? And also, how do you see the Labour Party faring come 2023 for those who had initially said, that they may not even stand a chance?
Okay, well, thank you for that question. Well, like I rightly pointed out, we all can see. So the thing is that election in Nigeria and politics in Nigeria is no longer like it used to be. I think Nigeria has been in political darkness, for, since the 1999 democracy, although things were fairly better at the beginning compared to now, which is actually the tail end of our democratic growth in since the 1999 up to date. So I think Nigerians needed, Nigerians needed those trajectories. Nigeria needed those events that has happened over time to happen, so that those who feels or who has always felt that politics was never their business to actually, feel triggered, be angered and know that, well, right now, if you don't step in, then you will still have the worst of us ruling or leading the best of us. So that is why you see all that has resonated upon Peter Obi's emergence, as a candidate for the Labour Party. Now we all can see even students, young people from teenagers to the youth and now the elderly. Initially, we were talking about obedient movement being something that is fully owned by the youth, but the latest reports and statistics is quite showing otherwise. Now, besides Labour Party enjoying the most youth followership right now, we also can see the elderly ones. We see people in their 40s and in their 50s. The last rally we had, we saw men even in their 70s, and we're really, nothing inspired me more than seeing even the older people who decided, and when you interact with them, they say things like, their generations failed Nigerians. They failed to hold the leaders accountable. They are lucky to be alive when their children and their great-grandchildren has taken upon this, political activism personally, and they feel inspired, and that is why they have joined. So, Mr. Peter Obi, I would say this is divine, and everything happens for a reason. The timing couldn't have been right. And to make it worse, I think the two major political parties, prior to Labour Party, who is now also a major party, outplayed themselves by thinking that Nigerians are so gullible and vulnerable, by imposing the same redundant, the same candidates that has been there for over 2.5 decades and all that. I mean,
all right, Ahmed,
we have been on that
journey. All right. Without wanting to interrupt you, I'd like you to react to something that I asked yesterday. So yesterday we had a representative of someone who's a member of the PDP join us on the show, and I'd asked him this question. I'd like to ask you as well. We've been talking about Emeka Ihedioha, who was, one time governor of Imo State, and he did make a comment that the next Igbo president will come after Atiku Abubakar, saying that anyone who votes Peter Obi is a saboteur. Now, there are lots of people who criticize him for this comment, saying that in his time when his mandate was supposedly stolen, Peter Obi was in the front lines fighting with him and advocating for him. What are your thoughts about this as well?
This is actually very laughable, and it's quite laughable because we're still trying to figure out why the worst of the political elites in Nigeria, has actually emanated from the East, because the kind of unfound utterances that they make sometimes doesn't represent, an elder statesman. If you ask me, it can be quite embarrassing. So you wonder why an ex-governor who was dropped off his democratic, mandate, from what we saw, from his last election. And even when somebody like Peter Obi, we all saw pictures, we have the record, Peter Obi stood shoulder to shoulder. He was there at the forefront to demand justice for Emeka Ihedioha's, mandate when he had issues with it. But see what's happening. Now, Emeka Ihedioha's utterances assertive about people, the Igbos, being saboteurs. To whom exactly? Who is sabotaging whom? I mean, let's be fair. They say to build a sustainable development or sustainable lasting peace, we must, first of all, it has to be bettered on the altar of equity and justice. Now, if you talk about saboteurs, who are the real saboteurs? His principal, their candidate, is real saboteurs. Your party cannot produce, a candidate from a particular demographic, and then after which Nigeria has enjoyed candidacy from another demographic who is the outgoing president. And then in the PDP, you are making such statements that the Southeasterners should not be saboteurs. Towards whom exactly? So that is the question. I saw later he was trying to defend it. I saw a comment on Twitter that it wasn't exactly what he meant. But we have already read meaning to what he already said. Right. So the true saboteurs are those who are insistive that the old system, continues. These are the true saboteurs. Now the Nigerian youth and the Nigerian people are demanding that they get power back to us. The power must come back to the streets so that every Nigerian would have an opinion towards the way they are governed, using Peter Obi as the vessel doing that. That is why the election is very personal to us. We are spending our money, we are deploying resources.
All right,
we put in a lot of energy.
All right, I definitely would like to have an extended conversation with you on these things. And, the good thing is that campaign season has started. Every political party will be pulling strings here and there. So we'll be bringing you in back again to have more of these conversations and, of course, follow up on some of the things that we've started here. Thank you so much, Ahmed Ngene, for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Skaggy and
Olive.
Thank you. Thank you guys for... Thank you, guys. It'll be my pleasure to be on next time. There's so many things to say, but then we have limited time, so we can stop here.
We look forward to having you again. Fine. Do enjoy the rest of your day.